The new SPATZ THRMOZ gloves. Are they the best winter glove on the market right now? Let's go find out. Welcome back to the channel. I'm John, the Ribble Valley Cyclist. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about these, the all-new SPATZ THRMOZ Deep Winter Gloves. We're going to look at who is SPATZ, what's the big deal with these gloves, and then I'm going to stick them on, go for a bike ride in some seriously unpleasant weather, and then I'm going to get back and do a review and work out what we've learned. Right, okay, so first of all, who is SPATZ? So SPATZ is a company based in Yorkshire here in England and is run by a chap called Tom Barras. Tom is a retired pro cyclist who struggled to find the kit that he needed to be able to ride up in the Yorkshire Dales in winter. So he thought the best thing to do would be to start up his own company and make the kit himself. Fair play to Tom. Right, so let's take a closer look at the gloves. So SPATZ has used a revised, denser thermal fabric for these gloves, and if you peel them inside out, best way to find out about a bit of kit, turn it inside out. They've used a toweling fleecy lining inside. It's not so dense that it makes the gloves awkward, but a little dense enough to make a difference. So let's pull a glove on. So the first thing you'll notice is this long sleeve, and that's closed off with a high quality YKK zip. Nice to see them using the better quality zip because you're going to be undoing that quite often. And yeah, a cheaper zip won't last you too long. Got a little pull cord on it, nice little touch. Now what makes the THRMOZ gloves unique compared to your average glove is not only have you got your standard 4-finger setup, but what they've done is they've given you the lobster feature as well as an optional. So all you need to do is pull the lobster out of the pouch on the front of the glove, and then you can just flick that over and cover your fingers. So the idea of this gives you that protective barrier from the elements hitting your hands, just to block a bit more of that cold and that wind out. But what it also does is it helps to retain the heat because you've got your fingers wrapped together. So one basically keeps the other one warm. And to be honest with you, yeah, it looks a bit weird, but you don't have any problems operating the bike. But if you need to do anything where you need a bit more dexterity, you can quite easily just flick that back and roll it into that pouch there. And there you go, it just tucks away, slight little bulge there, but tucks away. So that's a clever idea, and it helps when you're extra cold, you can just pull that over and protect your fingers a little bit more just to retain that heat, and then you can very easily flick it back out of the way. So that's a really clever idea. What you've also got is you've got the gel on the palm, which really helps to grip the bike if it's wet or you're descending down and the bike's rattling around. That really does help to keep a firm grip of the bike. Another nice touch, they've protected not only the gloves but your hands with these what they class as the impact points, where you're going to get a bit more impact from the bars. So what they've done is they've put these hard wearing pads in there to both protect your hands but also to protect the gloves to stop them wearing. One other little feature they've added, which is a natty little idea, is they've literally cut a hole in the glove. Pull the index finger forward, push it, there you go, and your finger pops out so you can operate your smartphone or your head unit. So there you go. That gives you the basics of these new SPATZ gloves. So the best thing for us to do now is put a load of kit on and go and find ourselves some thoroughly unpleasant weather to go and ride in. Another YouTube video and another ride in the rain. Starting to make a bit of a habit of this. Make sure you like, eh? Here we are out on the bike. Got the SPATZ gloves on. See those? There you go. Hopefully you can see those. Been out about half an hour. And it's seriously unpleasant out here. We've had rain for about 2 days non-stop. So the roads are really flooded. Typical day out in the northwest of England, huh? Right, let's crack on with this bike ride. Right, an hour into the ride, I'll put you on a fence post. Yeah, the gloves are doing really, really well. Are they warm? Yeah, super warm. It's mid-November, and to be honest with you, it's not cold enough for these gloves. I could have done the review in sort of January, February when it's really cold, but the trouble is then by the time it makes it through the system, you know, it'll be spring before you get to see this video. So I'm doing it in mid-November, and it's too warm for these gloves. As I say, it's about 5 degrees today. But what that tells me is that they're going to be really, really good when it's ridiculously cold. When it's down to -5 and I'm up at the tops of the hills, they're going to do the job. So I'm confident that they will be fine in those sort of temperatures. And as you can see, it's absolutely chucking it down today. The roads are all flooded. I'll do a bit of filming in a minute, show you how bad the roads are. But as far as dry is concerned, I'm surprised, because nowhere in the gumph on their website do they say about waterproof. But it's been chucking it down and my hands are still dry. So I was expecting my hands to get wet, to be honest, because they do, you know, SPATZ do a wet weather specific glove, and they bang on about it, it's how great it is, but this glove, they don't mention it at all. So yeah, I was expecting to get soaking wet hands, but my hands are perfectly dry. I've got my shake dry on, and the rain's been running down the sleeves and running over the gloves, and the material is slightly wet, but as I say, my hands inside are perfectly dry. Right, enough of this ride in this miserable weather shenanigans. Let's get home. So that was thoroughly unpleasant. Right, okay, so if you're finding this useful and you're liking the content so far, make sure you hit that like button down there. And to get notified about my future videos coming up, I've got some workshop videos coming up in the next few weeks, and if you want to get notified about those, hit the subscribe button in the corner of the screen and you'll get notified when those videos come out. Right, anyway, so the gloves, what do I think? Right, so first of all, what do we care about? We care about how warm they keep us, and we care about how dry they keep us. So how warm are they? So as I was saying in the video, I'm doing this video in mid-November because I want people to see this video before they need the gloves. You don't want to be seeing this video in January or February, because by which time SPATZ will probably be out of stock of them, and by the time you get the gloves, it's going to be spring. So I'm doing this video, as far as the gloves are concerned, it's too warm, and I was too warm in these gloves at about 5 degrees. Now, my other gloves in this sort of temperature would have been just so. So what that tells me is these gloves are going to be more than adequate when it drops down to minus whatever, because in 5 degrees they were too hot and I wanted to take them off. And I was finding I was rolling this down just to try it and cool myself down a bit. So yeah, as I say, when it gets down to minus whatever, I'm more than confident that these gloves are going to be the best gloves I own for temperature. But what surprised me even more was, in that ridiculous rain that you've just seen me going through, my hands stayed perfectly dry. If you check the SPATZ website, I've checked it in detail. At no point on the page for these gloves do you see the word water, rain, moisture. The word's just not on there. So I was expecting, because they don't mention it, I was expecting they weren't going to be very good at fighting back the rain, but they did a fantastic job. The water doesn't run off the glove like it does off a duck's back. It did get into the material a little bit, but my hands inside were perfectly dry. So they keep you perfectly dry. Now, if you want to check out my top 10 bits of winter kit, which I think I'm now going to have to revise that list because these gloves have changed it. But if you want to check out my top 10, click that video up there. And as I say, if you want to see my videos that are coming up in the workshop, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And thanks for watching.